Okay, hi, welcome back to another video of the Target Angel program, Target Angel Experience. So I told you guys before I did the video where I tell you how they use Facebook friends, social media, to send these subliminal messages, right? So usually you see women, doing the peace sign, sticking their tongue out. And what they'll do also is that they'll have their phone and they'll tilt their phone like I'm doing right now. And if I tilt my phone down to my crotch, right? So while they're doing that, sticking their tongue out. So I'm gonna give you guys another example of what it is that they do. All right. So here's a Facebook. Um, what do you call it? Facebook story of you see another black woman, okay, and you'll see what she's doing, okay. So look how she tilt the camera, sticking her tongue out, tilt the camera down, okay. Watch. All right. So now I've talked about these predator lesbians, right? And what they'll do is that they will um, make a move on a woman if she might have broken up with her boyfriend or what have you, and they're given inside information, right? This is from the racists and the police department, right? Particularly operating within the black community, right? To um, you know tr- turn their minds against black men, okay? Because they understand the trauma that we as black people, black men and black women, go through from young, growing up. No guidance, no father figures, because they remove the father figures from the home, and usually through the process of uh, instilling this delusional mindset within black women in particular, into not wanting to understand who men are, particularly black men, right? And to always have to cater to black women. So I talk about my relationship with my kid's mother, my two youngest, and how it was difficult for her to accept the fact when I say no to her. And again, which is very rare. Okay, so if she wanted something done and I said no, it would be like, I don't understand why you say no to me. But yet, she would say no to me all the time. Now, like I said, I tell my kids this all the time, particularly my oldest. I said, stay away from black women, particularly not black women, European women, who have childhood traumas, daddy issues, who might have went through sexual abuse as a child, if they have not gone and continue to go to therapy, if they have not developed tools to not generalize all black men, because this is what happens, not general all black men. And as black men, we have to understand that we need to teach our kids the reality of what's going on. Okay, how as we're younger with no guidance, we're highly sexualized. Women, young girls are highly sexualized also, right? And so we have to understand the type of mindset. Okay, so if you listen to some type of music, you have friends around you, all those other stuff. So I was just talking. I made a post, right? Of there's a new edition song, right? It's called what is it called again? Give me a sec. Okay, so the song I'm talking about, and I never really noticed this. Lately I've been listening to a lot of 80s music on Spotify. I go between 80s, 70s, reggae, what have you, right? So I'm listening to this song, Bobby Brown, I'm sorry, Belle Biv DeVoe, Do Me, right? Came out in 1990. 1990, I was like, what, 19 years old? So, 19 or 18 years old, right? Anyway, around that. And so there's a song by Belle Biv DeVoe called Do Me. And in this song, okay, in the rap portion of the song, he's rapping and he's saying, backstage, underage, adolescent, how you doing? Fine, she replied, I signed. I like to do the wild thing. Action took place kind of wet. Don't forget the J, the I, the M, the M, the Y. That's uh, why why I'll need a body bag. Okay, And I'm saying to myself, like today, when I hear young females talking about how much bodies they have, meaning like how many sexual partners, you know, uh, men, as men, we don't say these things. You know, I mean, even particularly even the young people, the young men, the young black men, right, or European males, they don't say that. But I hear this amongst young black female about having bodies, you know, like racking up bodies, meaning sexual partners. And I said to myself, you know, it's a wonder why, again, the mindset has changed, right? Because even when that song came out in 1990, they never took this song off the radio. And I'm wondering why. Why they never took this song off the radio, or at least changed the lyrics, okay? Because today, I, well, I wouldn't even say today they would change it, but today it would probably even be worse than that. The lyrics probably, if you ever hear some of these lyrics today. But it just goes to show you how within in the past as well as today, how within music, how music is used. You know, how writers who write these music, how they think, right? And then these music become popular. We listen to it, and we don't understand for a lot of young black men at the time and young European at the time that influence, right? Now here in America, okay, we love to have what is called selective outrage, particularly within the black community, right? So we love to have, uh, you know, selective outrage. So if uh, if a white person do something, we're quiet. We'll say, you know, oh, that's their business, what have you, right? If a black person does something, we don't get mad because in our community we see it as something that's wrong. We get mad because the white people tell us to get mad, right? And I always say, if you look at the vast majority of people who uh, are engaging in pedophile activity with young girls and young boys, are white men. Now, with the same thing with the Passport Brothers, right? So you had the white media pick up on this story about black men traveling to other countries to find wives, right? So they try to hypersexualize that situation by saying black men are going to other countries, preying on poor women. And they even have black women saying this, not black women, with Negro women saying this, right? But you know, again, when you have knowledge and when you study and you read, you have an understanding that you know other people don't have, right? Because other people are geared towards an opinion by other groups of people or by the media, right? So you know when there were all these black women are coming for these so-called black men who they call passport bros, and I'm saying to myself, wait, so you've never heard of passport sis, even though they didn't call them that? But these are black American women who travel to the Caribbean, who engage in sex with underage boys, right? And who will spend money on them, take care of them. Even when they come back, they're still sending money to these young boys in the Caribbean, taking care of these young boys and their families, right? But here in America, they want black men to take care of them, right? And this, again, this is decades ago, and it still happens. It still happens today. They will go overseas. They'll engage in these fantasies, orgies, and you know, girl on girl, you know, lesbian sex. You know what I'm saying? Girl on girl action, that sort of thing. And then they come back in the United States and they're like, okay, I just went on vacation. I feel refreshed. Now I can, you know, deal with my man or what have you. And then when they go on girls trip, what do you think happens on girls trip? Okay, again, stories are wild. But I talk about other black women who understand, or Nigerian women who understand what goes on and is telling the truth, right? So anyhow, but the Western media have always been trying to make black men the face of the things that white men are, particularly the negative things, right? Their dark persona, their dark personalities. Okay, when you look at the sex industry, the sex tourism industry overseas, started by white men, then white women, then black women follow suit. But the thing is, with black men don't travel overseas to pay for sex, for sex tourism. Black men, some black men do, not all, but very, very small percentage. And then you think about it, right? More women, black, particularly in the black community, more women, black women travel outside the United States than black men. Okay, in the white community, more white men travel overseas than white women. Okay, so again, understand what's taking place. Okay, so the reason why I'm doing this video is again is to show people the agenda that's being set forth, the agenda in which you have white supremacists, particularly on the police force, the FBI, CIA, what have you, who are causing trauma within our community. Okay, see, we never seem to think about the covert action of these agencies, particularly the police department, right? We never seem to think about, particularly in the past 2 decades, the import or the creation of certain types of drugs, right? Like what do you call it? In the beginning of the 2000s, there were a drug, party drug. I forgot the name of it. But then came Molly, Percocet. But before that, they had another drug, right? And what these drugs do is not also do they heighten people's sexual experience, right? But during that period in which they're taking these drugs and at parties and they're having, sex or what have you, the inhibition, right? It basically it basically takes away. It's like alcohol, right? Alcohol will take away inhibition, but these drugs completely take away the inhibition. So they engage in threesomes, orgies, girl on girl, and then these things are being promoted within, particularly today, within music videos, primarily by black, Negropean female rap artists. Okay, so using women to influence other women into these types of behavior and sexual alternative sexual lifestyle sexual activities. Okay, and like I said, I've been saying this for the longest while. I wish people would listen, particularly in my community, that when you look between the difference in terms of the LGBT community, the rise of LGBTQ people within our community, right, as compared to the decrease in the LGBT, those who identify as LGBTQ within the white community within the past 2 decades. Within the black community, the European community, it has gone way up. Within the white community, it is steadily going down. Okay? It is steadily going down. And this always brings me back to the CIA, one of the CIA doctors, a neurologist, Dr. Robert Heath, in which he was trying to cure white men and women of homosexuality. But he was also trying to induce black men and black women, which they don't talk about, right? They don't talk about, but this is part of the MK Ultra program and how they can turn straight men gay and try to make gay men straight. And today we are seeing evidence of this by the decrease within the white community of those who identify as LGBTQ. Even when you have the transgender, okay? Even when you have, and in Sweden, and also Sweden is under attack because of through these drugs, right? Where the Swedish authorities are now are preventing these doctors from operating and giving underage kids these castration drugs and these hormonal drugs because they see a increase and such an exponential increase that they noticed that it was not a natural thing. Okay, it was not natural because of the amount of years to the rise of young people who identified as being having what you call a gender dysmorphic identity disorder. I think that's what it's called. I'm not quite sure, right? But go look at that and what Sweden and what they are doing. And again, I keep saying we as black people and the European people living in large cities, we think that these white liberals don't have an agenda for us. But if you look throughout history, you'll understand that it is the white liberals, the white scientists, neurologists, the what do you call them, the psychiatrists, those in the field of neuroscience were some of the biggest criminals against my people, black people. Okay, in terms of experimentation, non-consensual human experimentation, in terms of creating psychological programs, in terms of redlining. Okay, remember, in states all across America, large cities, you had redlining. Same thing in the South. So just because you live in a liberal city, you live in close proximity, you work with white people, that doesn't mean that they like you. Okay, I'm not saying all. 'Cause I work with white people, and I could tell you some that are generally genuine human being who look at me as a human being, and I know there were others who despise me. Okay, so yeah, just wanted to put that out there. But like I said, when you start to notice these things, start to see these things, and it's not through, and again, because I'm a TI, and